So this is my first attempt at a multi-stream here. So I've got Facebook going, and then yeah, great. So daily game dev with, with with tabletop games, and I'm pretty excited. I found this tool. It's a plugin for OBS, which is really common, really popular streaming software, and I found a free tool that allows me to multi-stream. This is my first this is my first attempt. So stoked about that. So what I do here is spend about an hour either working on games and game designs for tabletop games, card games, board games, things like that. Talk through issues that I'm thinking about in relation to games, gaming, gaming event planning. One thing I do is with a team, we host gaming retreats twice a year here on Oahu. So sometimes I'll be thinking through those kind of things. In general, I've become over the last 3.5-4 years very passionate about board games and what board games do, what they can accomplish in the lives of an individual or in community. So that's what I think through and talk through here. That's just beyond the practice of games. I wanted to make it of designing games. I wanted to make it a habit of daily, except for Saturday mornings, daily spending an hour on these issues, topics, and engaged in these practices. So I'm working on anywhere from kind of 3 to 5 games simultaneously, and so I'll be bouncing around different designs depending on the season, depending on the situation. Like today, I'm interested in getting to Sugar Shack, which is a maple syrup themed game that I'm pretty excited about. I think there are some pretty fun ideas in that game. It's changed a lot, so that's one thing I like to highlight is just how it's just how much energy it takes to go through the iterative process. How many times I can't even guess. Like how many adjustments might I make to the fundamental structure of gameplay? It's pretty wild. So this is actually a game I pitched. I pitched it way too early. It was still basically in concept stage, but I'll get to that. I'll get to that shortly. Anyway, just the point is having a habit around creating things and talking through this world of tabletop gaming. I think it's been really good for me. It's been over, I think, a month and a half of doing this on a daily basis. That's while I've been moving. So I moved apartments over the last week. I think it was Friday last week that I got my keys, delivered the first items to my new apartment. I had a lot of help on Sunday from some friends that helped me bring over my big items, and I've been ferrying the rest slowly, day by day. It was actually last night, that I finally got all of the all items that I own into this apartment. It doesn't mean anything's put away or that everything's put away. And I'll have to, sort out some of the puzzles with, like, for example, my surfboard that's just sitting across my couch right now. So I'll have to find ways of getting that and other items sorted out. But anyway, excited to finally be settling in here in my new place and just seeing what opportunities exist here. There was a little boy that stopped by. He was in kind of the alleyway because I live on the back of the building. His name, I think, was Quinn, and he sort of shouted. This was at night. This was like 10:30 at night. He shouted down the alley to me, "Oh, you moving in?" This funny little extroverted kid, and I chatted with him. Gave him, he gave me a couple handshakes. Yes, at that time, and then went on his way. Anyway, I look forward to seeing him around. I would love to get to know some of my neighbors. I mean, I feel like there's probably some interesting people, interesting backgrounds around here, and I do like to. I like to get to know people. I like to have a positive relationship with the people in my circle and in my sphere. That is always not always the case. In fact, it was pretty uncomfortable in the last place I lived at times because I did not have that positive relationship with several of the people in that area. It was never really clear to me why. I've tried to repair several times, but I think in the end, ultimately, the way things have worked out is just really great for me to find my own space in a different location. So I'm excited about that. But we're here to think about games and game design. This is the description, the website, the platform for the Solitaire Print and Play contest. I have entered a game. It is South Shore Vibes. I'm number 20, I believe. Is it number 20? Nope, 16? Here it is, South Shore Vibes. So I have an entry myself, and this is a dice drafting and placement solo game. So it's cool. Like there's a guy, Ben, who has hosted these for several years. There were people before him who are offering these opportunities. These are really great. There's a lot of value in just getting a design to the point that you're willing to share it in public, take feedback, and iterate over the course of a few months. So that's what I'm doing here with this surfing game. And what I want to do here right now is identify a few more games that I'm going to play test and give feedback on. Typically, I'm going to go in here because, what you can imagine what's often the case is an easy group to pick is the people who have given feedback to me, or actually, and those tend to be the people I give feedback to tend to be the ones that give feedback to me. So that's pretty, a pretty clear, pretty obvious system. I know I intend to get to Timmy 14's game. He has a football game. I appreciate that he printed things out and tried to squeeze things onto the game sheet there. I gave feedback to Seamus, this guy, who has like a it's like kind of action selection, hand management kind of card game. I really like his multi-use cards. Those are where the decisions come in. You're either using a card for running or as a weapon, or you are adding a card to an event deck. The events can be pretty positive, pretty negative, or you are adding a card to a zombie deck, and so each card has those choices on its perimeter, and I think it's a really clever, really simple system. So I played that, gave some feedback. Man, it's really cool to see people physically make like the pretty version of the prototype and play through it. So it was pretty cool to see that Seamus did that here. So those are the 3 people who've given feedback to me. I still have yet to give feedback to Timmy, but I intend to. So I think usually what I try to do is, actually I'll go there right now. What I try to do is give feedback to, like, I prioritize people in Board Game Design Lab. Let me see if I can find any more. Maybe I'll look for solitaire contest. Maybe try that. I remember seeing a couple, so of course there are my own posts here. This was from last year. Also last year. Is this the or so it's not in chronological order. So far it looks like all of the streams are kind of handling this okay. Twitch seems a little bit slow, but not horrible. Okay, so 2023, 2021, 2023. I know this guy certainly has one or two games. He is the most prolific in terms of giving feedback. And I think it doesn't matter a whole lot, but as contests go, it's pretty clear that this, like, not very many people are going to play my game or give like play it enough to give feedback. They might have a look, they might see the rule book, might shy away. That kind of stuff happens a lot. Yeah, I just don't see. I feel like there were more people. Okay, this was the guy that this is the guy that I first interacted with, knowing that he was going to be making a game for the contest. I'm pretty sure there was at least one more that posted about it. Anyway, the point is I try to prioritize those folks. The reason being that I really value that community board game design lab. It's been really helpful for me in making connections. I think I started learning this one. This one ended up, I don't know, some of these, you can imagine are intimidating to pick up. Oh, I think this guy posted. I think this guy posted in Board Game Design Lab, BGDL, Facebook. It looked kind of interesting. Here's the issue with me. I don't really like to actually print anything. So what I typically do is just take the files, put them into Tabletop Simulator, and then go from there. I'm pretty sure I read the rules or started reading the rules for this Delve in Your Pocket. It looks cool. I like how this grid looks like totally hand-drawn. I think that's kind of cool. Subbed and downloaded. It looks like he's gotten a lot of feedback. Yeah, see, like he already has 2 pages of feedback. So what gets a little intimidating is going to a game that's gotten a bunch of feedback, and then you might play a version of it, and then end up having a bunch of questions that have already been asked, or there's already been like a fair amount of dialogue. Um, so yeah, sorry, I got distracted on my phone. You know what's crazy? So I use my phone to stream, so everything like I'm really relying on the bandwidth from my hotspot on my phone right now. And this is my plan. My plan is just to commit to using my phone for internet for ever. So I just upgraded actually. I have Visible, which has unlimited data and unlimited hotspot data. So under the previous plan, which was like 25, I think it was under 25 a month, I think I was paying some kind of promotional fee. Uh, I I was paying that, 20 to 25 a month, and that gave me the unlimited data and unlimited hotspot data, but it was throttled at like 5 megabytes per second. Per second, that was like the max. And also, I didn't have like the quotes ultra high bandwidth 5G available. I think my phone can handle it. This is the Pixel 7 Pro. So anyway, I decided a couple days ago to switch to the $35 plan, 35 a month. And that will give me, I think, access to the ultra high bandwidth with a throttled speed of 10 megabytes. 10 megabytes? Is it bits or bytes? I don't know. Per second. So hopefully that, so far it seems to be doing pretty well. But I'm streaming every day. I do have quite a few like meetings. Like I'm teaching online 2 sections of a writing class, which I'm actually a little bit nervous about. It's going to be like up to 40 students. So that's going to be a lot of reading and response. It's going to take up a fair amount of time. Thankfully, that mostly I think should cover my rent for these next several months. So August, September, October, November, December. So not quite, but I will still be subbing occasionally. My aim is to start a business where I'll be able to I guess what I should say is my goal is ultimately to be fully remote in terms of work. So that's what's great about the online class. It's asynchronous. I can just record videos when I need to. I do have to meet with students occasionally. That's why it's nice to have a little higher speed so we don't get interrupted like I was. Actually, my internet in my previous apartment, the Wi-Fi itself was so unstable that I would regularly like have to, we get like broken up calls and stuff like that. I didn't realize my phone would be more stable even at its slower speed, which was crazy to discover. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Okay, so delve in your pocket. I typically don't print anything. I usually make mods in TTS for myself. So I'm not quite. I think I'll take this one. How to fold. See, I've got to fold stuff. I'm not actually sure how that's gonna go. But let's have a look. So what I'm doing right now is just picking a couple more games to invest a little time in. So this is not great. Actually, this will be really easy to mod. Mostly because all I have to do is like screenshot. Is screenshot and then like reorient some of the photos, and then I'll just be able to have something I can mark up in Tabletop Simulator. There's still a fair amount of people who seem to be slightly resistant to like digital versions of tabletop games, and especially designers, like they really value making material prototypes and stuff. I don't, especially being in Hawaii. My limited and having like a limited pool of in-person playtesters, I've really come to value online playtesting. That's the best way to get a lot of attention or a lot of feedback on the game more efficiently. Oh. Yeah, I remember looking at this. Anyway, so I think that will be an interesting choice. I'll go back. Try to identify at least one more game. Let me see if I recognize any more names. And at this point, how many entries are there? There are 3 pages of entries now. So that's the sad thing. So Ben does a nice job of trying to get games that don't have any, or games that have very little feedback on them. He tries to get them some attention, but I don't know that it, honestly, I don't know that it really works. I'm trying to see if I recognize names here. If not, then I'll just pick a couple that have, that kind of stand out. And that was one thing I noticed. It's really important to have eye-catching detail. Okay, so this is card related. This actually looks kind of cool. I appreciate the work I put into the visuals here. I'm not really that interested in some of these, like, oh, I don't know, build a character, upgrade a character. That's okay, but for some reason not super enthused about stuff like that. Although there is some slight engine building in my surfing game. I just prefer other themes. It's cool that it's based on a deck of playing cards. There was a game, what's his name? Oh, Matthew Dunstan made, what is it? Something Dungeon. What is that game? Dunstan PNP Dungeon game. 52 Realms. He made a video about designing that based on, like, using a 52 card deck. I thought it was really cool. Like, kind of learning some of the major the major changes he made, and then the discovery that the 52 cards, each card could mean a whole bunch of different things depending on how it was used or the timing in which it was revealed. So anyway, really, really cool. I this is one of my favorite things about design, is just seeing people come up with really cool ideas, very creative ideas, or how to reuse something, an object, a component, or an idea from somebody else, in just like really super clever ways. I think it's just awesome. Yeah, solo fantasy campaign playing card game. I think that looks cool. I might come back to that one. Okay, a Kids on Bikes theme, like the role-playing game. Rourke's Relics Jungle Quest adventure card game. This looks kind of cool. Like the graphic design here. I forget if we're supposed to... I think we're supposed to acknowledge whether we use AI or not. But I assume there's some AI going on here. Quest for valuable artifacts from the Inca civilization. All the relics. This one has a tiny bit of attention. I'm going to go in here. Just because I do like adventure, kind of exploration, mystery solving type games. Like, like, obviously growing up with Indiana Jones kind of stuff is exciting. Yeah, Twitch is struggling a little bit. I feel like it is, but the bitrate doesn't look horrible. It just keeps pausing, and it's possible that it'll be clean when it's when it comes out as a video. Okay, I'm just gonna spend a couple more minutes to identify a couple of games. Let's see what the rules look like. I just want to know kind of mechanically what's happening here. Play overview and Jungle Quest. Once you collect your relics, let's see. Special cards, okay. Digging for and collecting relics, dig up revealed before they can be collected. I'm slightly turned off by the thematic language because it just means like trying to figure something out, how to manipulate components. That's the thing. Like in a rule book, I think it's so important to focus on how to manipulate components. I don't really care about the theme at that point. I want to know how to play. I don't want to be immersed in a world if I don't know how to play the game that world is supposed to be an overlay for. So that's a personal preference. Holding one deck face down, you flip cards over. And tuck this stack in the back of the deck. This might be hard to do on TTS because it sounds like there's a bunch of tucking. I think this is not hard. I think there are yeah, I think there's just a like a kind of hotkey that lets you do it. Primarily in your hand. When cards are being moved to the back, you may change the position of the topmost card anywhere within the stack of cards being moved. Yeah, this would be kind of a pain to play on TTS, unfortunately. So I think that means picking a different game. Sorry, what's your name? Sorry, Constance. Looks cool. Netrunner-esque game. Sean Elliott. I feel like I've seen this name before. Down with the system. Hack your way into Miscorp's servers and retrieve the hidden data to sell it to the highest bidder after they track you down. Okay. Hack servers by rolling dice and summing them up to try and reach a certain threshold. Six of firewalls. You use hacks to manipulate the dice along the way, steal enough of the evil Miscorp's data before they catch you. I don't know. It sounds pretty standard. Tell me this, if you're watching on Twitch, it always seems to me like Twitch just gives you one viewer no matter what. Is that to feel good? To feel like you have an audience? Or is somebody actually watching? I feel like it's always just a sort of a gimme viewer, like a free one, you know? Anyway, yeah. The Pico, PCIO. I forget what that means. Playing card, something. Self-explanatory once you read the rules, but I'll probably post a guide later. Okay. We'll make the PMP components themselves available for you a few days while I sort out the balance issues. A brief supply. Oh, interesting. I haven't heard of Protograph before, so I might check this tool out. Boards for board games, including hexagonal grids. Okay. Uh-oh, Python. It's these people who have like scripting abilities that I feel have superpowers. Because I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Or how many cards are in this game? Let's see. No, the system. 66 cards, 21 cubes, 96s, and 1 tracker board. 8 A4 sheets? Wow. I'm gonna see what it looks like on PCIO. It looks kind of crazy. It sounds kind of crazy. What I like so far is that according to OBS, we really haven't dropped many frames. 0.1%. So that's pretty awesome. The connection is strong. Through my phone. Heck yeah. Okay, this looks like a lot. This looks like a lot. Turn order. Burn 1 hack for 2 credits. Draw 2 cards. Keep 1, discard 1. Resolve and discard. Select a server. Move topmost firewall to center. Roll dice and manipulate using hack abilities. Huh. Wow. This seems kind of sophisticated. I don't remember how to make a copy of this, honestly. Is it... I know I shouldn't be editing it, but I thought there might be a way to copy it. Yeah, not too sure. That's okay. I feel like it might be a little too much to learn anyway. I'll keep Protograph around. Okay, I think this might be enough for now. What did I identify? I think I'll just try Delve as one. I think I want to pick one more game. What is this one? One carrier sheet, 20 mission cards, 7 primary objective cards, 18 event cards. Rules 5 pages, cards and status sheet 5 pages, or 9 if you print the card backs. You also need 2 12-sided dice, 3, I don't know why he doesn't just list the components, like just have a list, a bulleted list. 3 10-sided dice, 5 8-sided dice, 12 6-sided dice. You'll want to have extras of these dice as well for future upgrades to your squadrons. You'll need to use the counters provided coming soon, cubes, other dice, or coins to keep track of various points during the game. Yeah. I don't know. Let me have a look. Look at the rules. There's a game. Oh, what is that game? It's another space game. Something D6. I think D6 space game. Let me see. Deep Space D6. I wonder if this kind of looks like it's gonna have something similar going on. To begin an attack, simply roll all the dice that you've decided to launch. Add in any modifiers from an event, if any, and +1 if you loaded heavy ordnance. Place a cube or marker on the mission card as a reminder. Refer to the table below or on the carrier sheet for each ship's outcome for the first attack run. Place the dice aside, you can replace or upgrade other fighters using it. A natural 1 is always considered destroyed, regardless of modifiers. I don't think I'm that interested in a game where these kind of checks are so important. Like, talk about swingy, right? I don't know. Maybe. I guess it's really unlikely to get nothing. 2, 3, and 4. Just a lot of reading, unfortunately. Okay, maybe I'll come back to this at some point. I do want to get to yeah, I want to get to thinking about Sugar Shack again. I'll keep this up. And I'll come back to Delve in Your Pocket. Looks like that'll be easy enough to get going on TTS. It's an interesting thing. What I'm realizing about these contests is how important it is. I think it's important to get into them early so that you're on like the front page, the first page, and I am this time, thankfully. I think I was on the 6th page or 4th page or something like that last time. But to have a good-looking post so that it's it will attract clicks, and then and this is working against me this time, having like a super slim rule book, something that, well, also components wise, like something that's pretty easily pretty easily crafted, because there's so many games to look through, and it's just important to recognize that some things will make your game more attractive than others. So yeah, more playable than others, more likely to get played. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Sugar Shack. I think I'll open up Canva. In this case, I'll get Discord going because I think I have some notes in there. So this game, I think, is maybe one of the closer I have to being viable as a publishable game. It's partly because I've spent a lot of time on it. It's partly because I think it's partly because I think the theme is kind of endearing. It's cute. Okay, let me go in here to Discord and see my latest notes here. Sugar Shack. Okay, I have some things to update here. So this is the big change I need to apply. Up until now, the game has been a form of worker placement. So you, at one point, you had 2 workers, and you're moving them around these cards. I think, do I have a rule book? I think I do, but it's not represented in here. Well, maybe it is. Okay, so here's an example of what the town layout would have looked like at one point. And so you had 2 pawns, and those pawns were moving around. Yeah, those pawns were moving from town building to town building, or moving around within the Sugar Shack itself, producing syrup. And anyway, I then simplified to 1 pawn moving up into town. Like your whole turn would be something like, your whole turn would be to take as many steps up into town as you had the ability to. In the case of like the initial, there's a vehicle idea where you basically just get in your car with a bunch of syrup and you start moving up into town. The first vehicle, the starting vehicle, allows you to take 3 steps into town. The upgraded vehicle allowed you to take 4 steps into town. In other words, each step moved you up a tier into town. Those buildings would be different at each tier, and so you would be deciding which building to activate on any given tier. And so on your turn, you would be activating, let's say at the start of the game, you'd be activating 3 buildings, or up to 3 buildings. Once you upgrade, then you can be activating up to 4 buildings. So this was a kind of worker placement in that you would be moving your pawn, and then your pawn would be sitting in a location, and that location then would be blocked. It'd be off limits to the other player. This is a 2-player maple syrup themed game. Well, when I realized the changes I was making reduced the importance of blocking, like as in it didn't really matter, or just because of the flow of turns, one player would block a space, and then the other player would take their turn, block a space, and then the first player would take their turn and block the same space they blocked before. So I just realized, like, this is not interesting. They might just eventually they'd have to change their situation. They might go down and get an upgrade rather than go up to the same spot and block the same place. They would do that eventually, but for a while, for several turns in a row, you have no reason to change your behavior. So it would feel like your turns might be a little kind of scripted. So that's where I left off, with being excited about worker placement. So then what I pivoted to was considering how instead of worker placement, you just get some number of actions, and giving the player something like action tokens that they can spend on their turn. So that instead of 3 steps, you would be able to spend 3 action tokens. And what could be interesting about this is that it actually makes the player's relationship to the tiers fundamentally different. When it was this worker placement vehicle idea where you're kind of driving into town, then the cost to move to tier 1 and then to tier 2 and then to tier 3, it was just stable. It was all available. Each tier was available, and the cost for moving into each tier was the same, which is It just takes one action, and that action is built into your turn because you have that vehicle. If we do action points, however, this can change. This opens up some more possibilities that might even, on some level, start to be analysis paralysis inducing. And I say that because I'll go back to this image again really quick. In the way I'm thinking right now, you could spend you would spend one action point. I don't know. I guess I don't know really how to formulate this yet. But the idea is that you could spend one action point on activating a building in the first tier, 2 action points activating a building in the second tier, and then 3 action points in the third tier. So what that would look like is on my first turn of the game, I could spend all of my action points, all 3 of them, to go up here to this third tier, or I could spend my action points by going once to the second tier and once to the first tier, or I could spend my action points, and this is a question: should I be able to activate the same tier more than once? I kind of don't think so. But anyway, this is also, we have the Sugar Shack to care about. So you're also going to be spending action points in the Sugar Shack. So there's the trade-off: manufacturing syrup in the Sugar Shack versus going and activating buildings in town, in the tiers in town. So you might want to spend one action in the Sugar Shack to, let's say, gather sap, and then two actions and the second 2 action tokens in the second tier to activate one of those buildings. So that could be your whole turn. Well, that's interesting. Or you could spend all 3 on the Sugar Shack and no tokens, no action tokens in town. So I think that's cool. I like the ability of the player to consider the fact that they might just like be focusing on the Sugar Shack this round, or something else. Anyway, so the issue that the kind of thing where I've stalled out right now is on the fact that action tokens actually open up another currency possibility here in the game. Because what I expect is that I would want to distribute the ability to gain action tokens to some of these some of the buildings. And I think that could be a really cool idea, but it also means completely like rethinking how these buildings work. That's something that feels a little intimidating right now. Wow, the dropped frames has dropped to 0.0%. That's amazing. So I haven't dropped frames in a long time. My laptop, so I do have a little fan that's blowing on my laptop in addition to the built-in laptop fan. And I really think this was an important purchase. I have it blowing underneath my across my laptop, and I think that's helping kind of reduce the strain, the heat, the overheating potential on my laptop, because it is a gaming laptop, but it's not like an amazing gaming laptop. Anyway, so I'm gonna brainstorm some cards where I might add action tokens as a feature, as part of the currency. Oh, I need the landscape cards. I saw that somewhere. Sugar Shack landscape. No, this is old. I saw that landscape old. Sugar Shack landscape here. So one of the, you can imagine one of the important things in design, especially tracking iterations of designs, is figuring out how to organize files. I can't say I have a great way of doing it. What I have learned here, though, is especially when importing into TTS, it helps if the cards are oriented appropriately. Well, it's easier to design the cards when they're oriented a certain way, and it helps in it reduces the number of steps it takes to import stuff into TTS if the cards are already oriented as they should be. So that was just like, why did it take me that long to realize that? Okay, so here's what I need to think through. So action tokens are really important, really powerful, because they're what allow you to make progress in the game. They are the fundamental they're not I don't know how to describe the difference between something like victory points as reflecting your performance in the game. Like those are important, but when it comes to how the game actually works, action points are the thing that let you. They are what allow you to operate in the game. So anytime you can gain another action point, this should be a really big deal. So I shouldn't be able. I don't want to just spread them around too generously. I think that would be a mistake. And like imagine at the grant office. So the grant office is a type of upgrade. It offers a type of upgrade where you have to accumulate cubes that you've discarded in other buildings or by activating other buildings. So you discard a cube by, for example, interacting with or activating the market, one of the markets. I'll show you that. Okay, so here, closer B market. This symbol means that you would discard a cube to activate this building, and what it gives you is some money in return. So you're discarding a cube to earn some number of money. So like it's $1 to $3 basically. So that discarded cube would be placed on the grant office, and then when you go and activate the grant office, you can you can remove 5 cubes from the game that were sitting here on your designated space. Remove 5 cubes to claim a grant, and the grants are just permanent upgrades, and there are mini races to these grants. So whereas the upgrades for the Sugar Shack and vehicle, and I think the new one for barrels, those can be done by any player or by both players. Here at the grant office, it's first come first serve. So these powers need to be generally balanced, or there's just going to be a scripted approach. There would be a meta to activating, or like to set it. Yeah, you'd be setting up your turns in a way that would lead to doing the same exact things every game. So that would not be cool. So for example, if there was an overpowered upgrade in the grant office, like every turn add 2 action tokens to your action token pool, that would be so powerful that I suspect the first person to get it would win the game every time. So that's the trouble, is how to, like, whether to include something like action points in the grant office. How could you make some other upgrade so powerful that it's tempting people away from just taking more actions? The same is kind of true for upgrading your vehicle versus upgrading your Sugar Shack. The vehicle this is something I learned by playtesting with a friend Isaac. The vehicle not only gave you an extra action, but it also gave you barrels, and barrels have huge payoffs. So it was really hard to think about how can I either nerf the upgraded vehicle or boost, or what is it, or buff the buff the sugar shack, so that you would maybe you would, depending on the game state, or depending on the play style you want to try this game versus last game, you might choose one or the other, and both seem like reasonable options to upgrade first. That's the thing. How do you present these two options as generally equal depending on the moment? So equal, but depending on the moment. So maybe the other player's doing something that makes you think, okay, maybe this game it doesn't seem correct or appropriate to upgrade the vehicle first. I'm going to upgrade my sugar shack first. So that's the kind of consideration I want players to have to care about. Anyway, I know one thing I need to do is change how the vehicle works. Yeah, this vehicle. So I need to make a barrel upgrade. So I wonder if I can do that right now. What would that look like? I think you just gain a barrel. So it doesn't need to be fancy. I think it literally could just be this barrel. Barrel. Should we call it the barrel upgrade? Sure, why not? Now I can reorient it because the space is enough to fit it. Okay, and all this would do is kind of sit here under the sugar shack, probably, or maybe even under the vehicle. Yeah, I think so. So I'll change the color of this just for fun. Okay, the barrel upgrade. Now, the other thing I would need to do is add the barrel upgrade to I'd have to add the barrel upgrade. And this is actually good because I knew I needed at least one more upgrade. So unfortunately, this configuration is not going to work because I need to fit something in here, and this is all taking up space. Choose one upgrade per trip. So I need to add the barrel upgrade. I'm just going to do it like this for now. Barrel, what to call, actually, what should I call this? Should I just call it barrel upgrade? Sugar shack upgrade. This looks off. And I'll need to figure out the relative costs, because right now the vehicle upgrade, maybe they should all be worth maybe they should all be worth 8 money now. That seems a little bit off, but maybe it's right. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious to see how the Twitch stream went. Whenever I come back to it, it looks like it's kind of catching up, but maybe that's not reflected in the actual stream. Maybe it's just the way that it updates on my end. Okay. So I'm at an hour here. Appreciate everybody's time. Thanks for following along. Whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, I think this was easy enough, and it looks like it was working smoothly enough to be the standard, or what's typical for me now. So I do intend, I'll just, I'll be here every morning except for Saturday mornings, streaming for an hour. This will, of course, be disrupted on days when I go into school. I would prefer not to have to go into school as a sub this year, but it looks like I might need to. We'll see how other economic opportunities work out. Anyway, thanks for joining me. That's it for me for today. And yeah, I'll see you soon.